Okay, so I thought I would give you a little tour of my hydroponic garden. Um, as you can see, the whole thing is pretty much made out of simple storage containers. Um, Over here, this is the nutrient reservoir. It's basically just water and fertilizer in there. And then you can see that there are these floating pieces of foam that have holes cut in them and little baskets. And this is a perfect growing environment for things like lettuce. I have lettuce in there. I have kale, catnip, some basil, and some other things that are growing in there. Lettuce seems to be doing really well. Also in there is a pump, which you can see, and the pump leads up to this manifold here that has little drip irrigators on them. And what they do is they drip a gallon of water per minute when the pump is working. And that works on an intermittent cycle. So every hour, it'll drip for an hour, and then it'll go off and recirculate, and then it'll drip again for an hour. So you can see here, I've got peppers that are growing up nicely. I've got the beans. They've started growing up on my trellis. I have some basil down here. I have some broccoli and some Brussels sprouts, which I started later. These are all growing in, basically it's a combination of sand and peat moss. It makes a good substrate. It's cheap, and it holds enough water so that as it drips, each of the plants get nutrients. Over here, I have a bin. This one has carrots and beets in it. And you can see that the substrate here is just perlite. I'm trying something new. Apparently perlite is good for growing root vegetables because it gives them the opportunity to actually grow nice straight things like carrots and beets. The sand was a little too compact last year to do that. The tomatoes, this year I decided to grow the tomatoes in their separate pots. Each of these has a little drip irrigator too. You can see I've already got some blooms on there. Last time the tomatoes really crowded out everything else, so I decided to grow them separately. And then over here I have some more peppers. I have a rosemary back there, and then I have cucumbers back here, which are also just starting to grow up on the trellis. And if last year was any indication, it'll be a good year. And then in the bottom of these containers, I basically just have gravel, a couple inches of gravel, and I have some pipes that connect the containers so that all of the liquid that drips through the containers flows back down into the reservoir, right, to be recirculated. And then up here, this is a little valve that is triggered by the timer, and it switches between recirculating the water between the reservoirs and feeding it through the drip irrigators. All right, so that's it. That's my simple hydroponic system. Keeps everything up off the ground. I don't get a lot of bugs, and I don't get a lot of sort of bacteria or molds or those kinds of things. And everything seems to be growing pretty well. So, yeah, looking forward to a good year. It's also easy to put away come winter. So, all right, thanks for watching, everyone.